When Daniel first mentioned it, I laughed. Not a soft, amused laugh, one laced with ridicule. Really, I said, shaking my head. You're jealous of Ethan? He's my best friend. We've known each other since college. You're being ridiculous. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he didn't press the issue. He only nodded slowly and went quiet, the kind of silence that makes you realize your words had cut deeper than you thought. Later that night, I told my sister, Daniel's acting insecure. He thinks Ethan's some kind of threat. It's so childish. She agreed, and I felt justified dismissing his concerns. After all, Ethan had been there through every breakup, every bad job, even when Daniel and I first started dating. He was the one person I could talk to without fear of being judged. But here's what I didn't see, how it all looked from the outside. Ethan texted me constantly, and I always replied right away. Sometimes, during dinner with Daniel, I'd laugh at Ethan's jokes, leaving my husband watching me across the table. There were inside jokes, hugs that lingered too long, and conversations that stopped as soon as Daniel entered the room. I told myself it was harmless, but deep down I knew it wasn't as innocent as I pretended. A few weeks later, Daniel tried again. Sophie, he said one night, I need you to understand what this feels like. It's as if you're giving parts of yourself to Ethan that should belong to us, to me. I rolled my eyes, irritated by his tone. You're overreacting. He's just a friend. Stop trying to control who I talk to. That was when something in Daniel shifted. I saw it in his eyes, a quiet resolve like he'd just made a decision. But I was too busy feeling superior to notice. I thought I'd won the argument when, in reality, the game had only just begun. Over the next month, Daniel changed. Not in an explosive, dramatic way I expected after our fights, but in subtle, unsettling ways. He stopped asking where I was going when I left to meet Ethan. He no longer stayed up waiting for me to come home late. The man who used to notice every detail about my day now seemed distant, detached. At first, I thought it was progress. Finally, I told myself, he stopped obsessing. But what I felt wasn't relief. It was an eerie emptiness. His silence weighed heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Meanwhile, Ethan was still there, texting, calling, inviting me out. I leaned into it more, almost out of spite. If Daniel wasn't going to care, then fine. I'd laugh louder at Ethan's jokes, stay out later, share more secrets. But the more I poured into that friendship, the colder home became. Dinners turned into wordless meals where Daniel barely looked at me. Nights ended with him rolling to the side of bed without a sound. Then, one Friday, I came home from a night out with Ethan and found Daniel sitting in the living room, a suitcase beside him. My heart dropped. What were you doing? I asked, my voice cracking even as I tried to sound calm. He looked at me, not with anger, not with tears, but with something far worse, indifference. I can't do this anymore, Sophie, he said evenly. I warned you. I told you how it made me feel, and you mocked me. I won't beg for respect in my own marriage. I froze. Wait, you're leaving me over Ethan? Are you serious? My words tumbled out, desperate, but he didn't flinch. Daniel took a deep breath. It's not about Ethan. It's about you. You chose to make me the outsider in my own marriage, and I'm done. It felt like the floor dropped out from under me. I had always believed Daniel would never leave, that no matter how far I pushed, he'd stay. But standing there with his suitcase, he looked like a man who had already left me long ago. I stumbled toward him, panic rising. Daniel, please don't do this. Ethan is just a friend. I was wrong to make fun of you. I didn't mean it. My voice cracked, the sharp confidence I once had stripped away. But Daniel only shook his head. You don't get it, Sophie. You didn't just make fun of me. You dismissed me. You dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. You laughed while I was drowning. His words landed like stones, heavy and undeniable. For the first time, I saw myself through his eyes. The dinners where I rolled mine as questions. The nights I brushed off his concerns with sarcasm. The moments I chose Ethan's validation over my husband's trust. Suddenly, it wasn't about jealousy or insecurity anymore. It was about betrayal, not physical, but emotional, deep and cutting. I reached for his hand. We can fix this. Please. I'll stop seeing Ethan. I'll do anything. Desperation colored every word. But Daniel gently pulled his hand away, like someone who had already made peace with their decision. I gave you years, Sophie, he said softly, and I begged you to see me, but you never did. You only saw a jealous husband to mock. Now I finally see myself, and I see that I deserve better. With that, he picked up the suitcase and walked out the door. The silence that followed was suffocating. I sank onto the couch, replaying every cruel laugh, every sarcastic jab, every time I chose to make him feel small instead of safe. Ethan's text lit my phone on the coffee table. But for the first time, I didn't care. His attention meant nothing compared to what I had lost. I believed Daniel would always be there, no matter how hard I pushed. But I was wrong. My mockery had carved a canyon between us. And when he finally crossed it, he didn't look back. That night, I realized too late that the man I dismissed as jealous was actually the only one who truly loved me.